Hello everyone, welcome back to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. It is Francesco here, and today very lucky to be joined by Marie Audrey. She is a Notion expert. She also runs her own business, which is called GroovyWink, which helps entrepreneurs and freelancers to get productive through a host of different things, workflows, Notion, lots of things like that. And she is joining us today. We're very lucky to be joined by Maria, who is going to dive into Notion for us today and show us how she uses it for her business. So Marie, maybe I'm going to call you Marie loads of times because there's too many Maries in this Notion space.
Yeah.
Damn it. Maria. I'm sorry, Maria. Maybe fill in the gaps of what I missed.
Yeah, you basically said it all. I love helping entrepreneurs getting their stuff together, getting them organized, getting them feeling confident with their jobs, and just guiding them through their process and helping them trust their intuition. And so that's basically what we do at GroovyWink, is just helping entrepreneurs and freelancers that are busy to get organized and just be happy with their work and life.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure to include Maria's YouTube channel here. She has a great YouTube channel there. So it's fantastic. So we'll include it below. And obviously you're a Notion consultant as well. So if anybody has any struggles with Notion, find her details below, of course.
Awesome.
Great. So first question is, how did you go about discovering Notion? And out of all the tools in productivity, why did you decide to go with that one?
Well, so before like in 2015, 2016, I was a virtual assistant, and with all of my clients, they all use different platforms. They use Asana, Todoist, Evernote, you name it, all of them. I tried them all. They were nice, but they weren't like this whole thing that I could use, like one thing that I could use. Usually everything was like all over the place. And so years after that, because I fell into this burnout place, I wanted to find a way for me to work more naturally, like in a workflow that works for me. And I stumbled upon your Notion video, one of the many videos last year. Notion was just coming about, it was getting popular, and I wondered, like, what was this all about? It looked really nice, and I loved it. I completely was blown away by the way that Notion, the way that it's flexible, that you can just make it your own, that you can it's like your brain. It's how it works, and you can move things around, and it's never perfect, but you always kind of like evolve it. So it's a great way to stay away from the structure that all of those different apps were giving me, and it kind of like exploded my creativity even more. So I was really excited to use Notion, and so I kept creating like tutorials and all that, like little videos here and there. And I saw the potential, the huge opportunity of a lot of people just like wondering, how can I use this tool like to the best? Like, how can I really, squeeze it and use all of the things, and it's great. I always find something new from Notion. They always are improving themselves. And even though it's not perfect, I think it's gonna get there eventually. I really hope, with all of the things that they have promised to come out with. And I'm just waiting for all of those, like the API or the timeline or so many other things that I hope for it. And so I'm very hopeful with this tool because it has helped me, and I know that it has helped a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And you get the quite exciting job of like introducing it to people and taking them through how they can take advantage of the maximum potential. So out of curiosity, like, is GroovyWinks just you at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So today you'll be showing us like more of a tour around how you're using it to track all of the clients and also all of your processes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before we jump into that, obviously you've been influenced a lot by a lot of learnings from Tiago Forte. Maybe it'd be cool to sort of like introduce that before we move in, because I feel like some of your work will be influenced.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the main method that I use from building a second brain is the PARA method. PARA means projects, areas, resources, and archives. So that's how I organize all of my digital information. And so I develop my projects in Notion. I manage my areas in Notion. I kind of save all of my resources, and basically, well, there's the archive folder where everything that does not relate anymore to what I do, it's in. So I found that this is the most simplistic and more straightforward way to organize all of those things. But I also have some other elements that I added for myself. And but yeah, it's basically that.
Awesome.
I can show you the
let's dig into your Notion workspace. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Let me know when you see.
Drum roll. Still drum roll. There we go. I can see it now. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So okay. So let me just start here. Let me move this so you can see. And okay. So yeah, this is my main sci-fi structure. The workspace are all of the things that I share with my community and the people around me. And obviously I save some pages for favorites, but in my private folder structure, I have the projects, areas, resources, and archives, plus a start here page where everything kind of falls in. So it's just the only place that I actually actively work on every day. And the inbox page is where I use the web clipper and just dump in like resources that I found, or a place for me to just quickly capture everything that I have in my mind or anything like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and close this and walk through my process here. So okay, so I have this start here page. It's always changing. I'm always adding in, like, putting things in different places. So I think every interview is going to be different, or like videos that I do with Notion. And so, yeah, I have a weather widget that I found somewhere. I can't remember when, but it's really cool to see the week ahead. Then I have my open and close workflow. It's kind of like, it gives me a prompt on what to do for when I start my day and when I close my day for business. So, for example, I track my routines and mood completed yesterday. It kind of like gives me the instructions on how I can use my database. And then I have also like quick links. So if I'm developing projects or sprints, I can just go there and find them.
Yeah.
And so
Sorry, Maria. I really love how you have that sort of simple workflow there. I'm actually just curious how you set up the weather app as well. Have you done that through HTML, right?
It's an embed. I'm not sure where I can find the. Let me just try to find it here.
Because we'll include it in the link. Because if people do want to, that's a very wicked hack you've introduced there.
Yeah, it's basically a link. Is this embed? Meteoblue.com, and basically it's also geo-cached, I guess, and it will show you your local weather.
That's really smart.
So it's just that link. I will send it to you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry,
carry on.
So yeah, as I said before, this is like how I help me remind myself how I should use my database, because it can be kind of convoluted or difficult to use. If you are new to Notion, this would be very difficult, I guess, because it's how you kind of figured out how you best work, or what are the things that you want to see first thing in the morning. For example, so in this database, I have filter views. So the things that I'm doing today, ordered by priorities in a Kanban mode. I have my calendar where I see my month ahead. So I kind of, or my week ahead. So if I wanted to move things around depending on how I feel or what's happening, stuff like that. My work in progress. So for example, I have it by the status on the progress of each of those things. And so I try to make the progress in progress list as short as possible, because I figured out like that's why I have here stop starting and start finishing. It's just the things that I started, I wanted to just move to the done as soon as possible. So I try to limit as much as possible the work in progress so I don't overload myself. Then I have the done and waiting as well. It's just where whenever I mark done in somewhere, it goes there. And so kind of everything flows, and it's kind of cool because nothing ever kind of, I never miss anything. And so for this particular database, I have a project name and a next action. So I also implement the getting things done type of mindset of finding the next physical action. Then I have my backlog with all of the things, the tomorrow things that I have to do just in case. This one of the last things I do in my day is to check for tomorrow. All of my ideas, and obviously the archives. So that's how this is where I spend most of my time, is just with this database. But whenever I want to work on specific project, I go into my projects areas where I break things in sprints. So I work in 2-week sprints. I also have the link database here for the active projects that I'm working on. So everything that was tagged a project and that's marked as not done, not archived, not waiting for anything, and it's a priority. So I just want to see the things that are actually important and not just a whole list of craziness. Because I've seen people using like thousands and thousands of inputs in a database, and can be overwhelming if you see everything at once. So the filters are very useful for that. I also have this is a different database where I have my sprint projects sorted by epics, tasks, status, priorities, calendar. It's the same thing. It's just filtering different views for different like aspects of the same database. So, and also I have my quarterly plan. So things that I want to do in the next year. And if I needed to find a project to do, I can easily find it here. And then I just have this image where it's the Bloom's taxonomy, where I can break down tasks much more detailed or clear. So it helps me figure out what do I need to do, what is the next step in each of these things. So that's how cool.
That's really cool. I was going to mention there, like, I'm guessing the new timeline feature is probably going to replace the way that you're using sprint projects when they bring it out, right?
I hope so, yeah. I have my own timeline here for the whole sprint, and then obviously the tasks are broken down by hours. And so, I hope that I can see that, because there's also, how do you say this? There's, when there's tasks that depend on other tasks, so dependencies.
Yeah,
dependencies.
That's it. Fantastic.
That's something I want to see from them.
That would be cool. Yeah, fingers crossed.
So in my areas, let's just move on. It's a different type of look from the other things, because even though I have my database from the same Minesweep filter by the things that are tagged areas, then I can easily kind of make areas into projects. A lot of people have this kind of confusion whether like what is projects versus areas. And basically projects are the things that you're starting and finishing that have a deadline that is just gonna get done and that's it. But the areas are all of the things that you maintain in your life or business. So there's a lot of things that I do, the things that help me grow, my goals, the core things that I do, and what I want to read. So that's basically how I break it down, and this is a good layout so I can see everything, all of the different areas, and each of those pages have all of the information that I need. Or for example, how I deal with my clients, they're all in my Groovy wing. All of the things that I do in my bootcamp are there. And so I try to, this is like a place for me to save all the information that I need in order to quickly collect it and summarize it for either my projects that I'm doing, for my areas, or for managing all of the different things. So for example, my clients, I would find them in here there. But yeah, that's how I try to break it down as much as possible. So yeah, that's it for my areas. And so for the resources, I broke it down in sections. So there's the things that I do, the do section. So all of the things that come with like productivity and coaching and marketing and writing and the things that I actually do. The things that make me feel better. And so the well-being things, the mindset and habits, attention and flow. And each of these toggles have the link databases filtered by the themes. So all of the things that I've collected that have the tag agile or design thinking or planning are falling into here. And so each of these toggles have the database depending on that specific theme. And so that's how I easily search or find information. But also I find I can see the main library here. So if I want to find something specific, I just search it here quickly. And I also have the Pinterest style type of board where I can find all of the like visuals and things that kind of get my attention, and it's another way to kind of see it. I try to give myself a lot of different perspectives just because that triggers something in me. I like connecting ideas, and it's fun to kind of see how I can take one one theme or one thing that I want to write and connect it with something else. So that's why I kind of like connected Notion with getting things done, or building a second brain, or agile and sprints, and like creating this kind of ecosystem that does not kind of relate too much, but it kind of works for me.
Definitely.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's how I do my resources. And I kind of have other things that I don't save in my database because it's just easier to get it from a page. And so when I go into my inbox, this is kind of like the place where I just dump everything. I give myself a note on the last time I emptied it. It's just a place for me to kind of get rid of ideas or things that I found online, and then I give myself some time to go over it, clean it, eliminate the things that don't work or that really didn't make anything for me, or and so that's where I dump everything, and then I either grab it and dump it in their related place, so in the resources most of the time, but then I can link them back to projects if they're very related to projects. And so that's it.
I really like how you used inbox there, because like not many people think about having somewhere to centralize just dumping ideas, like links, meeting notes, and then be able to organize them in the areas. So that's really cool, because people don't think, like, I think I started an inbox like donkeys ago, but then decided not to use it. So that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also building a second brain focuses a lot on the resources that you get and how you collect it and how you summarize it as well. And
Yeah.
so for each of these resources, I forgot to mention, let me see here. It's just a little bit slow sometimes.
Yeah, they're working on databases, aren't they?
Yeah. So for example, I just wanted to show you one. Oops. So the status have, I have status as this reviewed or in progress or to read, to summarize or to watch. And so if I wanted to find things to watch, then I quickly kind of like sorted by that, by that filter. And as I was saying before, because progressive summarization is one of the aspects of building a second brain, it's easy for me to find that information and understand why it was useful in the first place, that I wanted to use it. For example, let's say one of my favorite resources that I found is this article by Taylor Person, and it's all about bottlenecks. And so I kind of bold, because they're in progressive organizations, there's layers that you go through.
Yeah.
And so you kind of bold the things that you found interesting and highlight the things from the bold that you found most interesting. And this way you can kind of understand what is the thing that from this article that actually spoke to me at that time. It's easy for me to go back and say, oh, okay, I remember why I did this and how am I going to use it. And hopefully, for all of the different projects that I'm doing. So if I wanted to write about bottlenecks, then I can easily find information about that, and it's already kind of summarized or at least highlighted into the key points of each of those resources. So that's how I use my second brain, which I also should mention this. When I create projects, I have this template button here called project name. It gives me this kind of layout for myself to kind of break down the project into outcomes and the plan. And so here in the project manager, and I can kind of break it down into tasks, and it goes directly into that database, so I don't have to do things twice or whatever. And also to the Minesweep, where I see in the start page. But also I was just saying that in the research I can also filter it by the theme of that project, and that's how I find that it's just a linked database to that same library, where I find all of the things that kind of relate to that. And so that's how I also connect ideas and see things in a different way. But this is kind of cool, because I don't have to think about what is the next step or what is it that I actually need to do for this. It's just laid out for me. So how I plan it, how I break it down, and my research and my audience and my content and also my retrospection. So it's kind of like everything in one place. And if I needed to add any new resources, then I just link them back in there. So that's something that I've been starting to using more. The template buttons are great for that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's like an incredible one pager, because you're like literally just press a button and it's all there ready to go. And not many people know that you can do the linked databases inside of those database templates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a really nice setup as a whole that you've got there. Because one final question I had for you was in terms of the Para method. Like, I used it for Evernote and Google Drive, and I found it really good for that. Like, what advice would you give people when they set it up? Because I can imagine there's sort of a little bit of a learning curve. Do you have any advice for newbies?
Advice for newbies. Well, if I would suggest implementing this when you kind of already know how do you plan to use it. So for newbies is just write down all of the things that are going on in your life. So, and then you can start putting things in the right place with this system. So there's a great exercise called the mind sweep or brain dumping or whatever. And it's just making a free list without really thinking too much about it, about the things that you're doing, the things that that need your attention, or the areas in your life you want to manage. Create like a normal list, and then create a page called projects and a page called areas. Sort them if you already know how to differentiate between them. But I actually suggest you start with just one project at a time at the beginning when using Notion, because there is when you start realizing all of the different elements and things that you can use to develop a project, and it will evolve. So I say be patient, be very patient with Notion, because if you start going all crazy at once, it's going to be overwhelming and you're not going to use it. So my motto is keep it simple, use it often. It's just make it as simple as possible for yourself. And as you go and you learn how to use it properly, then it will evolve to something great. But the thing is that you need to use it. You need to make it so in your worst days, when you feel like you don't want to do much, then it's easy for you to find stuff. Just make it easier for yourself. And it starts with finding like one project, one area in your life, and slowly build up from there. At the beginning, my Notion was just a mess, was like craziness. So it's normal. It's normal that at the beginning it's kind of crazy. You put everything in there and you don't know how to sort it. But just start with a project, maybe put the pages like that in the project areas, resources, and archives, and then start building that slowly. I guess that's my recommendation.
That's a good recommendation, because like it can be daunting, and if you make it daunting, it's going to be worse for you when you start. Maria, where can people find you after this episode today?
Well, you can find me at groovywing.com, at Instagram as well, groovywing or Kitissima. Kitissima is my Twitter handle as well, in Instagram and Twitter. On YouTube, what else? Yeah, I guess that's it for now.
I love it. Well, thanks for taking the time out, and I'm sure loads of people are going to find huge amounts of value from this. So I think you're the first video that talks about actually implementing Para, so that's going to be quite a good concept for people to jump into. So thanks, Maria.
Yeah, thank you, Francesco. That's awesome.
Lovely.